In this video, we're going to continue taking a look at how well LLMs perform when asked to write OpenAPI documents, and how well they deal with the feedback that we give them from RateMyOpenAPI. In this video, we're going to take a look at Mistral. They've just released a new model called Pixtral Large, which, according to them, stacks up pretty well against Claude, Gemini, Llama, and GPT-4o. So we're going to get into it and give it our standard prompt and see how well it does when generating OpenAPI and how well it can deal with the feedback from RateMyOpenAPI. If you're looking for videos on API design, development, and best practices, this is the channel for you. Please consider subscribing for weekly videos on all things API. Let's try out Mistral. If you haven't seen the other videos that we've done with LLMs before, then there's links to those in the description below, but we always start by giving them the exact same prompt. And this is it. We ask you to design an OpenAPI specification for a link shortening application called Minilinks. It's got a little bit more complexity to it, and we're expecting a few more things from this than your standard basic OpenAPI document that an LLM may know to create. So just to try to keep things on some kind of level playing field, we always give it the same prompt. So let's jump over to Mistral with this prompt and get started. Mistral have recently just launched Le Chat. It's their chat interface for their models, and the model behind this is actually the Pixtral Large model that they have released. So we'll start by pasting in our prompt and get things going. Now we're expecting JSON output from this, and what we're going to do is take what it generates and pass it over to RateMyOpenAPI so we can get an initial score. Okay, so it's finished generating. So let's grab everything that it created here and we'll submit it to RateMyOpenAPI and get an initial score. I've got a file set up to put this into, so we'll paste all of this in. We're looking at 597 lines of JSON for this initial version. So we'll save it. And then down here in the command line section, you can see that I have the RateMyOpenAPI command line tool already installed, set up, ready to go. I'll just explain this prompt really quickly. You pass in the file name, whatever it is that you want to be checked by RateMyOpenAPI, and also an API key, which you can get from RateMyOpenAPI.com. Don't worry, I am going to roll this key after I'm done with this, so it won't be usable after this point. But let's submit it and see what the initial score is for Mistral Pixtral. So its overall score is 53, which is about right. That's what we tend to see from a lot of LLMs on their first pass. Now, we're going to go over to RateMyOpenAPI by clicking on this link here. And what this is going to give us is the actual full report with all of the things that could be improved. So here on RateMyOpenAPI.com, you see that it's broken down into different sections, one for documentation, one for completeness, one for SDK generation, and one for security. And all of the different issues are listed out in there. So you can expand on some of these. And you see that a lot of the time they are like repetitive, and that's because the same issues exist across every single thing that it's inside that particular OpenAPI document. It is very repetitive because a lot of the times those errors are exactly the same errors that run through an entire document. So for SDK generation, for instance, one of the things that's helpful to have in place is an operation ID, especially if you're going to be generating SDKs. This is good because what that translates to is how you actually call those particular functions inside of your SDK. So if they're not there, maybe your SDK generation service is going to start making up different names, which could end up with a not great user experience, but it also means you probably have to go in and make some edits to it to make it a little bit cleaner. But if you've got operation IDs, then you've got a bit more control over what that naming convention actually is. And you can see here, there are none. So that's something that we're going to have to see improved. You can grab everything from here as a JSON response from the RateMyOpenAPI API, and then you can put that into your LLM and actually have it work with that JSON. That doesn't always work because depending on whether or not you are using an LLM that can handle JSON files, or you're using something that has a very, very large context window, it may not necessarily be able to understand all of the JSON that you give it. So here is another way that you can give that feedback. You can just do it as an image or as a document. So we actually have this page right here, which has some feedback in it that we can pass over to Mistral. And the way that we're going to do that is by taking this page and we're actually going to save it as a PDF. So I can go to print and save as PDF, and I can take what exists in here and save it out So now I have this, I can go back to the chat. We're still in the same context as we were before. And I can actually take the file, go to the desktop. And using this PDF, I can submit this as feedback and ask it to have another go at creating this document. And then we'll see if it can use it well enough to actually improve what it did before. So now we've submitted that, it's going to go away and think about it for a second, and then it's going to create another version that will then pass back to RateMyOpenAPI and see how much the score has improved. So we can see from this that it has taken some of the things that are in that document into consideration. It's going to take the non-empty tags array. It's going to ensure that every operation has a description. It's going to ensure that every operation has an operation ID. It's going to define the security requirements, and it's going to ensure that the operations have proper error responses, especially for 500 errors, which is really important. So what we're going to see is a revised version of that. And once it's finished generating, we'll pass it over and see how well it does. Okay, so it's finally done. That actually took about 10 minutes to do. You just watched the sped up version of it. So I actually managed to have lunch while it was processing that. Okay, let's grab everything that it generated this time, and we will pass it back over to RateMyOpenAPI and see how well it's improved on its initial version. Here in VS Code, I've got a separate JSON file ready to go to accept this. 737 lines of JSON this time, so there's definitely been some changes. There's definitely been some additions, that's for sure. So what we'll do is clear this out, and we'll pass this over to RateMyOpenAPI using the CLI. So we're going to have to change this command to add the v2. Let's do that, v2. Okay, let's see how well it's improved on its initial score. Okay, back up to 85. Really good. The passing score we have as a default in RateMyOpenAPI CLI is 80. So anything beyond that is actually reasonably good, something that you would probably consider using and be generally happy with. It's definitely upgraded everything, especially the SDK generation, which was kind of a key point last time. So if we take a quick look at the report, we'll open it up. We can compare the two. So the initial score was 53, and based on the feedback that we got just from this page, just by giving this page over to Mistral as a PDF, so not providing the full JSON response of this entire report, not giving it all of that structured feedback, just giving it a PDF of what's on this screen here, we've managed to take its initial effort and upgrade it to 85, which is really, really very good. There are still some aspects here with security that it hasn't managed to nail. Now, we could take this and pass it back again and do another version, and it likely would get this right this time, but I don't think we need to do that necessarily. We're already at 85, and I think I've proved the point that actually just taking the feedback that you see directly on the screen here and using that with an LLM will still work to give you a really good upgrade on an LLM generated OpenAPI document. So that's Pixtral Large from Mistral AI, doing extremely well when it comes to generating OpenAPI documents, and doing even better when it comes to using visual feedback from RateMyOpenAPI to improve on its first attempt. If you want to try out RateMyOpenAPI for yourself, you can do so at RateMyOpenAPI.com. It's available in CLI, GitHub Action, and API forms, or you can just take a file and drop it directly into the website and get your feedback that way. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and remember to subscribe to the channel for weekly videos on all things API. I'll see you in the next one.